a minute. So I'm going to start by sharing some slides, and we'll talk our way through them and interact through them. There's lots of them, and I desire to share them. So I wanted to share them with my grandchildren first, and I wrote a book to tell them what I had discovered about the rules of life. And then somebody got a hold of one of those books that I did and said, you need to make this more general so that lots of people can experience it. And so that's what I decided to do. I felt called to do that. So what does that mean? Well, I think it was my inspiration, my inner voice said, do this. And so that's why I'm doing it. So some of those experiences I have to share is I was a monk, a religious teaching brother, and I taught Larry, who's in on this call, in New Orleans High School. I left and married an ex-nun. We had four natural children together. Then we adopted one who had mental problems, and we had to hospitalize him. I had a career as a computer person, all the way from programmer to director of European operations, 5 years in Europe. Um, then my wife found a hypnotist who helped her with a lifelong problem. And so she became a hypnotist, and so did I, and we moved to California. And so I've been a hypnotherapist for 18 years. While in Europe, I had a daughter nearly die of bacterial meningitis. And through all of those things, I've collected a bunch of experiences that now some people have helped me understand what they mean. So in this week one, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the material of the first four chapters of my book, which is first a little dedication, which is kind of covers what I just told you about why I did this. And then the first chapter is Life's a Game. And the second one, Life's Missing Instructions. And the third one is Life's Playing Field, because all games have a playing field, and then Life's Game Equipment. So that's what we're going to do today, is cover those. Why? Why? Well, I'm having a lot of fun, and I wanted to share that fun. First, I wanted to share it with my grandchildren, as I told you, and then I wanted to share it with a more general audience. And so any seeker, any person who's trying to discover how life works, and that's our job here. And so I think I've got some answers, not all of them. And so I'm hoping that we'll discover together maybe some more answers, or maybe what I think works doesn't work for most people. We'll discover that too. So life's a discovery, and I think that we'll discover it together, discover and expand together, because through this we'll grow, and that's expansion, which we'll find out is one of the key components of life. So here's the process. The process starts with you reading the chapters beforehand, if you can. All of the chapter material is going to be on the same website page that you've discovered already. It's called Living by Life's Playbook. And right now there's the week one chapters, the content of the chapters is there. If you buy the book or this is the book, well, this is the book. If you buy it, the chapters are in there. If you don't buy it, the chapters are on this website page, so you can read it anyway. And so is week two is already there for you to read for next week. And I will put each week there as we go. So that's kind of beforehand. But if you don't do that, never mind. You can read it afterwards. What we're going to do is discuss the key topics through questions. So I'm going to kind of ask the questions. I'm going to be the life questioner. And we'll kind of share our answers together in the chat. And so the chat responses, and if you have questions that you want to pose as well, that's the place to do it. And I'll answer some of the questions, as many as time permits and as I'm able. Um, and then afterwards, there'll be a summary of the answers in an email that I'll send you afterwards. So that's kind of the format. And there'll also be a replay of the Zoom session so you can re-listen to it again or listen if you missed it. So that's kind of the format we're going to go with. And we start off with life's a game. So the very first question is, what's a game? So what do you think the characteristics of a game are? If you want to just post them over there in the chat, I'll read off what people post. And that'll be lots of fun. So what do you think the characteristics of a chat are, of a game are? Go ahead and put in the chat why you think life's a game, or what is a game? What's a game? What are the characteristics of a game that we're going to try to see if life's got that, or what in our life is like that? So we got lightness of being, allowing happiness to fill one's spirit. Rules, players, obstacles, incentives. Find your next move every day. I like those. So here's the ones I came up with, not to say this is the set of them, but just to have something to talk about, was some goal or objective. Enjoyment. If it's not fun, it's not a good game. So some kind of pleasure. Usually a skill or skill building is part of it, I think. And it engages us, our body, mind, and spirit. I've been watching my step grandson play volleyball in a competition that's broadcast live, and there's lots of enthusiasm and emotion on every single play, both there on the court and in this household as well. Competition. Sometimes there's competition. Lots of games have competition, sports games, but there's games without competition too. So what about crossword puzzles, Wordle, or solitaire, or games where you're just competing against yourself to build skills? Lots of video games are without competition, except maybe against somebody else's high score someplace. Why do we play games? Go ahead and put your reason why we play games in the chat there. Winning and losing. Teamwork. Fun, competition. We have to, no choice. Oh, I wonder what that means. In my family, we use it to reconnect. It's a way to have fun with others, improve ourselves in various ways. All right, I think it's fun and emotion, emotion of fun, like you said, and it also engages our body, mind, and spirit, our complete being. It totally absorbs us. It's a sport, I think, or a game is sort of like meditation on steroids. So you can't think of anything else while you're in the game. Bring you very much to the present. Life's a game. The next one is life's instructions. So where do we get our instructions for life? It didn't come with a thick manual that we get with our car when we buy it. That we can look things up when something needs attention or we don't know how something works. So where do we collect our life instructions? Because we've been collecting them from our parents for sure. Let's see what other answers we're getting here. Parents, teachers, friends, books, media, mistakes. Oh, I like all those. I didn't have all those listed. Um, certainly. So, what about religions? Religions try to give us some instructions for life. Somebody just put up culture. That's right, for sure. Um, what about laws? Laws try to give, governmental laws try to give us instructions about how you should live. You should not run through red lights or stop signs. Uh, from school. So we get lots of instruction about how to live from our teachers, from our other classmates. What about our gut and intuition and society and our friends and others, as somebody already mentioned? Good. So that's a hodgepodge. What do you find when you look at all these? Well, we got lots and lots of instructions, and lots of them conflict with each other. So we've got to go through some kind of a process of sorting out which ones are the most important, which ones are really true, particularly when you get some that don't fit with others, which ones are right. That's the dilemma that we face as humans. So hopefully, my book is sort of about that, um, trying to find the true ones, the true guides, the ones we can use to get us where we want to go in life. So, playing field. A game has a playing field. It's where the play takes place, sort of the physical environment. If you take a game of soccer, uh, the soccer has to take place on a grassy field with two white goalposts, one at either end, covered with a net. That's the playing field for soccer. So, what's life's playing field? That's the question. Well, what I've come to believe from my own discoveries and those of my instructors and mentors, that life's playing field is a vibrating energy field that's everywhere. It's throughout the universe. It's inside our bodies. Science has come recently to understand this and actually name it. It's becoming part of the standard model of how things work. A vibrating energy field throughout the universe, including inside our bodies. So if that's the playing field, nobody told us that. Nobody gave us the instructions about how to play on that very well. I call it the flow. It's the name which I've given to this vibrating energy field that you'll see in the book. So what are other names? Anybody know the other names for this vibrating energy field? You've probably heard of it before. Yes, chi, certainly, is one. Somebody put up, yes. Well, the other names are that I've uncovered are these: chi, prana, chi, mana, and the Japanese chi, which is spelled QI, but it's called chi anyway. The Force. So the Force in the Star Wars sagas really refers to this. And the scientists call it a unified field of consciousness. That's a scientific term that describes what's the energy that pervades everything and supplies life force and consciousness. Well, that's pretty interesting. If that's the playing field, what then? And I throw this in at the end, frequency is the number of vibrations per second, because all of this energy is vibrations, vibrating energy field. And frequency is the measure of the number of vibrations per time unit, which is invariably per second. So radio waves are so many cycles per second, cell phone waves, TV waves, light waves, so many vibrations per second, X-ray. We're radiating energy at some frequency as well. So frequency will be a term that will be important in understanding how life works. So the equipment, what you play with. Okay, so if you're playing soccer, the equipment is, well, a ball is the most common thing in all kinds of games. But of course, there's plenty of other things. And so what is it that is the equipment for the game of life on the playing field of energy? I want to hear some answers to that in the chat, please. What do you think that is? Consciousness, that's good. Your mind, outlook, good. That's a great one. That's certainly part of it. What else? And so this is kind of what I'm hoping we do with this, is that we explore what how this relates to our life, how we can make this part of ourselves. Inquisitiveness. Here's what I think it is. I think the most common part of life's equipment is body, mind, and spirit. This is what we play the game with. We play it with our body, we play it with our mind, and we play it with our spirit part. And the way we do it is this internal energy flow of our thoughts radiates energy outward, and that's been called an aura, so that there is an energy field around us that's an aura. And I put plus plus because there's much more than that. We're actually sending out energy waves. Every person is, every object is, because they're all in this field interacting with the energy. And what happens is, in this interaction, we get our life results. And they match our thoughts. That's the part about it that's so key, is that the thoughts bring frequency matched returns. So whatever frequency we're sending out with our thoughts comes back to us, returns to us. You've probably heard the saying, the rich get richer. And it is true, because it is the way life works. If they're thinking thoughts about how good and happy they are about being rich, they'll get richer. And the corollary of that is that the poor get poorer if their attitude is how terrible their situation is. That's the energy they're putting out, how terrible it is. More terribleness will come back. So part of that too is the sick get sicker if they focus on their illness. And the joyfully expectant get miracles of their desires. So if you have a desire and you're joyful in that desire and expect it to occur, and don't worry about it, don't have down thoughts or feelings about it, it's going to materialize. I know that sounds really bizarre, because that's not what we've been taught. But the fact of the matter is, some of us have been taught that, and I've been taught that recently. And once I've started practicing and working with it, what I've found is the miracles are everywhere to match what I desire. So what am I calling a miracle? I'm calling a miracle the occurrence of anything that's totally against all odds. The Catholic Church defines a miracle because they use the criteria of you have to have three miracles to have a saint. Somebody declared a saint, and their three miracles are three doctors have to testify that whatever medical issue you have been cured from could not have happened naturally. Well, what does naturally mean? Because lots of things in nature, that's what we're working with, nature. And when we work with nature, which is this vibrating energy field, lots of things can happen that beat all odds that you might expect. So, as I told some of the first people who came on this morning, in my book, I have examples of what I consider miracles because there are things that just were beyond expectation. And I had two more occurrences happen this week. So I have a son who had a drug problem, and he's gone through rehabilitation, and he's been clean for 6 months, and he's been getting rides to work and wanted very much to have his own vehicle. And he's been having that desire for a long time, strong, and he's been very positive. And last week, someone gave him a car. It's not new, it's old, but it runs and it works for him. And I have a grandson who changed jobs and now needs transportation to his new job that he didn't need before because he was riding with a coworker. And he wanted a car, and the company he went to work for had a spare vehicle that they were going to get rid of. So they said, here, you could have it for a couple $1,000 and we'll take it on time out of your salary. We'll just deduct the payments out of your salary. So he's got his vehicle too. So in 1 week, two vehicles appeared where they weren't expected at all. So it can happen. So what's going on? What is really happening here? And what I believe is happening is kind of illustrated by this picture. So our mind is like a magnet, and it's sending out energy waves, and those energy waves come back to us as the tangible things that we're sending that energy out for. It could be things, it could be circumstances like a new job, it could be a relationship with somebody. That's what happened to me. After my wife Donna passed, I made a list of what I wanted, and I went through the grieving process at the Cancer Support Center. I made a list of what I wanted in a new life partner, and very, very specific things. And within a couple of months, the circumstances arose where I met that person, and I met her at a group that's run by one of the participants today, Carol King, at her Salon for the Spiritually Creative Life. And she met all of the things that I wanted. And it's unbelievable. We shared so many, we have our library of books is 50% overlap, duplications that we have. So it was a miracle for me, absolutely. And they keep coming. So another way of saying it is our thoughts are emanating energy that goes into the flow and matches up with things of the same frequency. So that's the key. The frequency match is the key. I have a friend or a mentor who says it this way: thoughts become things. They don't really become things because the things are out there, but the thoughts bring those things to us. It's just as good as as having a magic manufacturing uh, shop where you just put in what you dial what you want and out it comes. So that's what I think is happening. And you may remember a few years ago, there was a movie, uh, The Secret, and The Secret was basically this. It was, they call it the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is in my book as well, and we'll cover that soon. But it's not a secret. It's a secret only to those who don't know it. But you're learning it if you don't know it already, because that's what this is all about. You'll know the secret. The secret is in your thoughts. So that's the first four chapters. We'll go on in the other chapters to cover the laws and the rules and the referee and all the rest of the things in the game. So if you want to turn your if you want to make a comment or ask a question, we're plenty good on time. The one last thing that I want to say to you is that you are here for a reason. You are here in this group for a reason. If there's anybody you know who you would like to invite, uh, just tell them where to find this, where to find the page that you know you got to, because it has a sign up on it as well, and they can catch up this first session, which I'm going to put there as soon as I get the recording and the summary that I'll put. Okay. Thank you all and have a wonderful week.